Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am back today with another weekly update. It is 2 days after Christmas, so the very end of December 2024. Not a whole lot has changed outside in the garden, but I am deep in the throes of planning for the next spring and summer garden for 2025. So let's go ahead and walk around, see what's going on, and then we'll talk about what I have going on as far as planning and stuff. Okay, we are going to start over here in what is usually called the tomato patch, like we usually do with all other weekly updates. And what I have currently growing over here at the moment is I have a few Brussels sprouts plants along here, a basil that's still kind of trucking along. This is a Thai basil. And then we have some oregano right there, and then another oregano here, and then one of these is a cabbage, but I'm not sure which one. I don't know if it's this one or this one. But everything else, all the other brassicas in here are Brussels sprouts. And since I cut the eggplant down a few weeks ago, these are really starting to grow quite a bit. Plus we've had all that rain. So hopefully these put on quite a bit of growth, and then we start to see the Brussels sprouts form in basically the armpits where those leaves meet the stem. Over here in this bed, it is a ton of brassicas. There is quite a bit of broccoli growing. This is the Chinese yad fa broccoli, typically used in stir fries and stuff, and you can see where it is starting to flower. So I should probably just go ahead and harvest that and get it cooked up the next time I make stir fry. But there are several heads of broccoli forming here all throughout this garden. There are a couple of cauliflower plants in here too, but the last I checked they did not have any cauliflower heads growing just yet, but the broccoli is looking pretty good. This one I harvested the other day, and you can kind of see that it grows little mini florets all over the rest of the plant. So that's why I didn't cut the whole plant down, because I can harvest these and use them the same way that I would use this. So like I was saying, there's several heads of broccoli growing all the way down. There's one right there. This plant is in the same bed. The wind just kind of blew it over and it just continued to grow that way. And then on that side there are a few, but like I was saying, I don't believe any of the cauliflower have started forming their heads just yet, but everything is growing and it's looking really great. I'm gonna come to the front here to talk about this bed, because as you can see, those leaves are huge and you can't really get through over there. So in this bed, on this side here is kale. You can see it's all looking really lovely. It's been a lot cooler out, so this scarlet kale is really, is that scarlet kale? No, it's Frisée Rouge or something like that from Johnny Seeds. So it's really looking nice and deep purple, like it should whenever it's cooler outside. And then we have the dino kale here, several different varieties growing other than the dino and then the Frisée Rouge. And then this end is collard greens, and I believe I have enough collard greens here to feed the entire town that I live in. There's so much, but I am going to be harvesting quite a bit of this to take to my mom and take to my in-laws, because New Year's is coming and this is what we like to eat on New Year's. So these look really healthy, really good. There's probably lots of caterpillars growing in here, as you can tell by all of the munched leaves, but that's okay. Still really healthy. These two beds right here look really healthy and green, and they're just growing right along. Lots of food. All right, on this side of the garden, there's not a whole lot that is actually growing in the beds, because I'm going to be making some changes to these beds. So I didn't want to fill them with food and then have to pull the food out before it was ready. There are a few food items, but overall they're relatively quick growing, and I should be able to harvest them before I make those changes to these beds. So what's going to happen is these shorter panels right here are going to be moved to the ends on both of these beds so that I could put an arched trellis in between them. So once I have the trellis in hand, like I don't have it yet, but once I do have it, then I can go ahead and do all of those things, pull the food that is growing. And what we have here in this bed is rutabagas. I don't see a whole ton of root development yet. This one maybe, but it also looks like I have an ant problem. They're munching on it. So I need to get out here with some orange oil diluted in some water once a lot of this other water evaporates off, and kind of take care of the ant problem, because they are in several places throughout the garden, including this bed. You can see the big mound right there. What we have here is Kohlrabi, and you can really start to see the formation of those round bulbs. And they don't grow under the ground, as you can see, they grow above the ground. They kind of look like an alien vegetable. They are part of the brassica family. I like to cut all the leaves off and then just dice these up and roast them off in the oven, sort of like you would potatoes. They make a really nice roasted vegetable. I know you can also ferment them. I have not done that yet. If all of these form nice vegetables there, then maybe I'll give that a try, but for the most part, we just roast them off in the oven. And I wanted to point this out because this is how much rain we got this week. Almost 6 inches on Christmas Eve and yesterday, Thursday. This is the combination of the 2 days. That is a ton of rain that came very quickly. This bed has some beets, and then down here has turnips. So there's a little bit of root development there with those turnips, so we'll see. Again, I didn't want to fill these completely with food since I am going to be making changes with them. I'm going to have to pull the soil out to remove those shorter panels, kind of adjust everything, rebuild them, and then fill them back up, all of that stuff. So yeah, I didn't want to make more work for myself by having a ton of food that I would need to figure out what to do with. Over here is the garlic. This is my second time to grow garlic, my first time at this house, and it's going pretty well. My last weekly update, I talked about how these in these 2 pockets weren't really growing, but it looks like we have some new growth here, so maybe they're just slower to grow. That's totally fine. As you can tell, I still need to mulch things. November and December were the most chaotic months I've experienced in quite a long time, so yes, I'm behind on mulching, but I will get it done soonish. But you can see the garlic looks really healthy. The leaves look really good. We haven't really had terribly cold temperatures yet. Usually January and February are our coldest months, so I do expect, you know, pretty frigid temperatures at that point. But everything looks really good right now. These will probably be harvested at the end of May, so once they come out, then this is where sunflowers will go. This is where I always plant sunflowers, so I'm just gonna stick with the same because I like the way that it looks in front of the greenhouse here. Okay, so this flower bed is a chaotic mess right now. There are some things that may die off once we do get super frigid temps, or at least die back. They're perennials. These sages here, those are perennials, so they come back year after year. But once we get super frigid temps, I do expect them to die back. But right now, they're still healthy, and on good days, whenever bees are out, they do provide pollen and stuff for the bees, so that's why I haven't cut them back. These snapdragons, these things are just unkillable. I don't even do anything with them anymore. They just live their best life, and yeah, this is the result. It's just, they're blooming in December, so pretty incredible. The chaotic part of these beds is the cover crops that I have going on. Show you this daikon here because it's doing exactly what it was planted to do. So this This is a daikon radish. It gets quite large. The traditional Japanese daikon are like 2 foot long. So it's growing down, breaking up that super hard clay. Same thing with these mustard greens. They have really deep roots that will break up the clay. I have some crimson clover growing somewhere in here, but mostly the cover crop situation is the mustard greens and the radishes. There are also some young snapdragons planted here that I planted in the fall to overwinter and put on a ton of growth in the spring. So these will be really pretty whenever they start blooming. I have some more at the other end there, and then the other, let's see here, this giant leafed plant here is a hollyhock. These are biennials, so they only bloom on the 2nd year and then they die. So this coming up here will be the 2nd year for these, so they should bloom. And then I have another one right there, but it's quite a bit smaller. But basically, this side is the mirror image of this side. There are some plants that have died off that I do need to come out and cut down. I have to do my plant cleanup relatively slowly because of space limitations, but yeah, it's chaotic, but it's doing what it was planted to do. So I will accept the chaos and enjoy the healthier soil next year from all of that. As you can see, I did not cut down that bok choy like I had talked about doing. It's still growing, and I can actually harvest these for stir fry. So I could do a bok choy and broccoli stir fry very easily at this point. Maybe Sunday or Monday next week. But tatsoi is looking all right. I should probably actually fertilize this because there's quite a bit of yellowing here. But overall, the bok choy is looking pretty good. Tatsoi is looking pretty good. This is kind of what it looks like. It just gets much bigger and takes up more space. This has the flavor profile similar to spinach. The leaf structure is very similar to spinach as well. So that is how I will use it, is in spinach type applications. Now for the remainder of the green stalks on the patio, this one that had the hot peppers in it has been, all of the pepper plants have been cut down. At this point, I'm just letting the soil rest. The plants, I'm letting their roots break back down into the soil. That way I can replant it next year with an undecided item. With an undecided crop type. I'm thinking dwarf tomatoes. I'm gonna give those a try in here. We'll see how that goes. Strawberries are still doing pretty well. I actually probably need to fertilize. The new leaf growth looks really good, but the established leaves look a little crusty. So fertilize these. I do have a frost cloth whenever the temperatures do reach really cold, but I haven't needed it yet. I think the coldest morning has been 29-ish. And it has only lasted like 15 minutes. So these still look pretty good other than needing a shot of fertilizer. This one has also been cleaned out. The only remaining crop in here is this thyme, and this thyme is on its 3rd year. It has lasted through Arctic blasts, super cold temperatures. I don't even bother to cover that. It just goes wild. I will come out and kind of cut it back pretty substantially, but it just grows back. It's very low maintenance plants, perennial. I use it a lot for like chicken soup, chicken and dumplings, things like that. Salad dressings, brush applications mostly. I have not needed to dehydrate it and dry it because I just come out and grab it when I need it. Obviously, not a whole ton happening outside. This is kind of the slow point in the growing season for my garden. Typically every year whenever I do a fall garden, this is kind of the chill time where I don't have a whole lot growing. I'm not harvesting a super ton every single day, but I am growing enough that I can be harvesting regularly. But now that Christmas is over, I am deep in planning for next year. So far I have gotten all my seeds organized. I have figured out the crops that I'm going to be growing. That's this list here. And then I have used my seedtime.us account to schedule most of the things that I'm growing. Now I don't have a lot of the flowers in there yet. I don't have sunflowers or zinnias or marigolds or things like that in there yet. But I have basically everything else. All the vegetables scheduled out, ready to go. Seed starting will begin on January 7th for me. That is whenever eggplants and peppers will be started. So that's really exciting. And even though I have the seedtime.us account with all of the stuff listed out, I also wrote out individual lists for the tomatoes and the peppers because there are some varieties that I'm growing to assist my son's Boy Scout troop with a seed sale fundraiser to help the boys pay for camp. There are some varieties that I'm starting for my daughter's Girl Scout troop for a gardening badge that they're going to be working on. So I wanted to make sure that I had it straight somewhere, what plants were going where, and I only have a limited amount of space for tomatoes, so I wanted to make sure I included the varieties that I definitely wanted to grow. And then as well as the hot peppers and sweet peppers, I only have specific spots for those as well. So I wanted to make sure that I only, in my seedtime.us, I only had the varieties there that were gonna go out there. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. In my head it did. And then I wrote down my list of medicinal herbs and then a list of culinary herbs. Most of my herbs are going to be going on that corner green stalk where the thyme is growing because apparently herbs do really well in that location. So I'm just going to fill it with herbs, and most of it will be medicinal, but I am going to be fitting some culinary herbs in there as well. So that will be really exciting. The remainder of the culinary herbs also happen to make fantastic companion plants. So those will just be scattered throughout the entire garden, in between things, around things. So things like dill, my basil of course, my oregano is already in the garden, and then I have some rue that I'm specifically planting for swallowtail butterflies, and then chives is also a great companion plant. Cilantro, really that one I'm not going to plant out in the garden because once it warms up past like 70 degrees, it's gonna bolt anyway. So that's gonna just stay up here, probably in a container or something. But the reason why I have this is this was my stocking stuff for this year from my sweet husband. He got me some new seeds because he knows I love to garden. So he got me several flower varieties and then some edible things too. So just very quickly, he got two sunflowers. He got, I'm going to try to include the pictures, Florenza, branching sunflower, Darjeeling, branching sunflower. There is 3 zinnias here, a ballerina zinnia, Cinderella peach, which has been on my want to buy list for several seasons now, so I'm really excited about that one. And then Aurora zinnia. So this one I think is new to Johnny Seeds, if I remember correctly. This is kind of like a kaleidoscope of colors, so that will be really fun. Then the edible varieties that he got me, red Reuben, purple basil. Y'all know I love to grow some purple basil. Thanos eggplant. So I had a really good eggplant year this year with the Listata de Giandia eggplant. Now it was really beautiful. Unfortunately, I never could figure out which size it needed to be harvested. So while we did use a lot of it to make pizza and stuff, it just wasn't quite right. So he got me a traditional dark purple eggplant type. This one is Thanos, to see if we can figure out the right one for our eggplant pizza that we like to eat. And then an okra. Y'all know I also love to grow okra. So this is Carmine Splendor. This is going to be a hybrid variety that is red. So I have a hybrid green variety already inside. This is red, so just kind of rounding out the mix there. And then I have 3 different tomatoes, hybrid tomatoes. Tomatoes are my favorite thing to grow because they are used in so many different dishes, for lack of a better word. So whenever I preserve them, I will dehydrate the cherry tomatoes, and then all of the other ones I will just can as like crushed tomatoes or fire roasted or just like diced tomatoes, stuff like that. And then I will just take those very simply canned tomatoes and turn them into whatever I need in the future. Spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, salsa, whatever it might be. I didn't want to have like a whole pantry full of spaghetti sauce when we don't eat spaghetti that often, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to buy tomato stuff from the store like spaghetti sauce. So I just keep it very basic and simple, and then turn those basic simple things into the specific application that I need. So the tomatoes that he got me, 2 of them are cherry, because I want to grow like kind of a rainbow of cherry tomatoes, but I don't want to have to worry about them like getting sick or things like that. So I am incorporating more hybrid tomatoes overall into my garden. So 2 cherry tomato additions for the hybrid side of things is going to be the Sun Green 4029 and then Yellow Mini. Now some of these are going to be started for my son's Boy Scout fundraiser. Some of these are going to be started for me, and then hopefully I have some left over for next year. So, and then the last one, I have read so many good things about this tomato, and I have seen 10,000 reels of people just pulling pounds and pounds and pounds of tomatoes nonstop out of their garden with this variety, so I wanted to give it a try, and that is the Juliet. This is also a hybrid tomato. This falls under the paste, plum, or aroma tomato side, so this one will be excellent for those canned tomato applications that I like to use the tomatoes for. But okay, so the stuff that I have already started for the spring and summer garden, inside I have 3 varieties of onions started. I have the 1015Y Texas onion, and then I have yellow granax, and then I have a white variety. Let me see if I have it written down. I don't have the specific variety written down right here, but I have basically 2 yellow varieties and 1 white variety of onion started inside. I will be starting petunias and rudbeckia for my flower beds, hopefully this weekend, and then the seed starting kind of just takes off from there, like I said, starting January 7th. So that's kind of what's going on this week in my North Texas vegetable garden. If you liked this video and you want to see how the garden grows and changes from week to week, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do all those different YouTube things. But until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye.